CES, Miss G, I'm back. Hey, we are continuing with our theory packet. And again, I'm super proud of those of you who have been turning in your work. You've been submitting it on Google Classroom, taking pictures of your packet, and then sending those to me so that I can help you improve your work. And also so that I can give you credit for doing it. So, yay, thumbs up. Lesson number 10, that's where we are, which is your time signature in 2/4 time. So that's where we're starting, okay? In 2/4 time, it says 2 means that there are 2 beats per measure, and 4 means that the quarter note gets 1 of those beats. So the top number tells you the beats per measure. In this case, it's a 2. That means you get 2 beats in each of the measures. Remember, a measure goes from the beginning of your song to the next bar line. So in between each of the measures, you should have 2 beats. And down here, they're going to ask you to fill in those measures to make it 2 beats, okay? The 4 means that the quarter note receives 1 beat. And what you're going to notice, and what I notice as a musician, my most common time signatures are almost always going to have a 4 on the bottom, which means that my note, which looks like this, whether the stem is high or low, if it's filled in, it's a quarter note, and it's going to receive 1. That's really was helpful to me once I figured that out as a musician. It says 2/4 and 4/4 both have 4 as the bottom number, meaning that a quarter note receives 1 beat. The difference is that 2 has 2 beats per measure because 2's on top, and if it's in 4/4, it has 4 beats per measure because 4 is on top. All right? It says a whole rest is used for a full measure of rest, even if there are only 2 beats in each measure. So this is where it can get a little confusing because you've just been working in 4/4 time on whole rests. But a whole rest might only get 2 beats depending on how many beats are in the time signature. So in this case, if you see a whole rest, it's going to get 2 because that's in the time signature. All right. It says in writing music, a half and a whole rest are never used in 2/4 time. Okay? So disregard what I just said because I just said if you see a half rest, or excuse me, a whole rest in 2/4 time. But that is correct. You just don't see it. All right, because it says a whole rest is used for a full measure of rest, even if there are only 2 beats in a measure. In writing music, a half and a whole rest are never used in 2/4 time. Learn something new every day. I did not know that. All right, number 1, complete the measures using notes and rests, and then count and clap them. So we are looking for 2 beats in each measure. And so if we've got a quarter note here, it's asking you to put what kind of a note would come in next. Complete the measure using notes and rests. You could put in a rest if you want to, or you could put in a note. In my first measure, I'm going to put in an identical note because I know I've already had 1 quarter note, and now a second quarter note is going to equal 2. And then it says, in my next measure, I can put in 2 more beats. I'm going to make a ZC rest and a quarter note because I know that my quarter rest, which is ZC, gets 1 and my quarter note gets 2. All right? And so on. I can fill in my measures that way. Now, I looked at my last measure here and I went, ooh, I got another fun idea. I'm going to put my last measure in and I'm going to use a half rest, just so I can show Miss G that I know that it gets 2, okay? Or I could have used a half rest. You're going to fill out the rest of those. In number 2, it says circle the measures with the incorrect number of beats. Remember, my time signature is 2/4, so I want each measure to have 2 beats. So I'm looking at my first measure and I'm going 1, 2. Don't need to circle that one. That one's correct. How about my second measure? 1, 2. I've got a half rest. A half note. That's going to get 2 beats. And my quarter rest got 1 beat. Together that equals 3. That's not correct. I got to circle that measure because it's incorrect. It's showing 3 beats. In my next measure, it says, do I have the correct number of beats? Well, it told me up here, a whole rest is used for a full measure of rest, even if there are only 2 beats in each measure. In writing music, a half and whole rest are never used in 2/4 time. This is what confuses us, because they've told us one thing and then they went ahead and used it. If this were used in 2/4 time, I would count 1, 2. That's why Miss G was like, really? Well, that's 2 beats because it's a whole rest. I'm gonna think that might not be a true statement because maybe some composers use it. All right, so yay, Miss G. I'm not gonna circle that one. Then I've got a half note, it gets 2. And then I've got a ZC plus 2 quarter notes. 1, 2, What am I gonna do to that measure? And how about the last one? A quarter note, a ZC, and a quarter note. All right, or a quarter note, a quarter rest. A ZC is a quarter rest, right? I just call them ZCs. All right, and so I know what I need to do to that last measure as well. Number 3 says, draw bar lines and a double bar in the correct places. Where's my double bar gonna go? Always at the... So I'm putting my double bar in, and I know I've got to have 2 beats per measure, so I'm counting, and I'm going to write my counting in. I'm going to count 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So I'm just writing my counting in. I'm telling you guys, they didn't ask you to do that, but I would. Okay, because once you've written that in, it's going to help you a ton. Now all I have to do, once my counting is all written, 1, 2, 1, 2, remember to hold for 2 here, remember to hold for 2 here, and remember what they've done it again. They put a whole rest here. Yay. And I'm going to write in 1, 2, 1, 2. I got my bar lines going equal with my beats that I've already written in. Boom. My bar lines came out perfectly because I had already counted. I had already put in my 1, 2. Number 4, on the top line, it says rewrite the 4/4 music line in 2/4. Okay, so in other words, they've done it in 4/4 and they want me to write it in 2/4. So the first thing I'm going to do is cross out the 4 and put in a 2 so that I can show Miss G, oh yeah, I know what they want me to do. I'm going to put a 2/4. And then I'm going to write my counting in. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, right? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, I am going to write it here. So I'm actually going to write everything that they did here, but not the bar lines, because the bar line's in the wrong place. So I'm going to put it, they've already put my 2/4 in, and then I'm just going to copy my notes at the top. And I'm just going to put one note right underneath the ones above it. And I'm starting, guys, just by writing in my notes. I'm not, and my note, and my stems. Did I put bar lines in yet? I didn't do it. Not yet, because I want to make sure I'm accurate. So I'm just putting in my note heads, my stems, and then I'm going to go back and do my counting underneath and put in my what? You got it, bar lines. Okay, so just writing in the notes as they are written above. Do you see how I made them all match? They look the same. And now I'm just going to write my counting in. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, hold 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, hold 2. And counting is written in. Now I can put my bar lines in, foolproof, because every 2 beats, I'm going to put in my what? to put my bar lines in. Did I do everything? I rewrote the music. And then it said, write the names of the notes below. You gotta be kidding me. You mean I gotta write the notes in too? So hope I left enough room under my counting to write in my letter names. I'm in treble clef, so I'm just going second line G, second space A. Don't forget your poem. Elephants go backwards doing flips, F-A-C-E, writing in my pitches. Don't forget that. That's part of number 4, right? Let's go on, guys. Take a deep breath. We're on number 11, and we are in 3/4. What does the top number tell you? 3 beats per measure. The bottom number is still a 4. A quarter note is still getting 1 beat. A quarter rest is still getting 1 beat. A half note is equal to 2. We know that. All right. And a whole note is used for a full measure of rest. Now, in the 2/4 thing, they said it wasn't, but it sure was used a lot. So, come on, people. Don't confuse my kids. So, we're going to use a whole rest this time, even if there are only 3 beats. In writing music, a half and whole rest are never used in 3/4 time. Not true. They are used. All right? I don't know why they're telling us that, but that's not true. Especially in choir music, they're used all the time. So that's why I said, remember back there when I sounded confused? They are used. Interesting. 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4 all have a 4 at the bottom number, meaning the quarter note always receives 1. Remember I told you those were very common. And the top number tells you the number of beats. So 2/4 we just worked on had 2 beats per measure, and now we're going to work on 3 beats per measure. It says complete the measures using 1 note or rest, count and clap. We're doing it in 3. So we've got a half note, 1, 2. We're missing a note. It only gets 1 beat. Must be a what? Must be a quarter note. So my quarter note's going to go right in on beat 3. Second measure, quarter note, quarter rest. I've got 1, 2. I'm missing another, you got it, quarter note, beat 3. And I'm going to do the rest of those. Miss G isn't doing anymore. You know how to do this. Number 2 says, circle the measures with the incorrect number of beats. All right, I'm going to write in my counting. I'm in 3, so I'm already going to do this. I'm going to go right through. Remember how I was doing it? 1, 2, 3. First one's correct. I've got a whole rest. Never used, but apparently they are. 1, 2, 3, and don't forget, in choir we use them. 1, 2, 3. Then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, not. We're in 3/4. That is incorrect. Circle it. See how they want us to do it? If you write in your counting, you guys, you are going to be assured that you get this correct. I'm not going to do any more of those. You know how to do that. In number 3, it says, in the example below, draw bar lines and a double bar in the correct places. I'm in 3. What is Miss G going to have me do first? She's going to say, put in your counting so that you can see where the bar lines are going to go. 1, 2, parentheses, 3, bar line, 1, 2, 3, bar line, 1, 2, 3, bar line, 1, 2, 3, and I would continue to write underneath 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, because it just really helps you to be able to do it, okay? If you write in your counting first. On number 4, it says in the exercise below, add the note stems, the bar lines. So, remember what I said? One step at a time. Add the note stems. So I'm going to look at my notes. I've already done this. I remember that if a note is below the staff in treble clef, obviously my stems are going to go up on the right. If I have a note that's high on the staff, like in this case, this note's in the bass clef, but it's high, it's going up. So I'm going to put my stem on the left. I'm sorry, I forgot the first measure. This one's also high. and this one is above the middle line. So all these are going down on the left. Down on the left, down on the left, up on the right, up on the right, down on the left. Okay, this one's below, so it's going up on the right. It's below the third line. Here's the third line. It's below it. Whoosh. Okay, here's the third line. This one's above it. Are you seeing it? Here's the third line on this staff. It's below it. I hope you're seeing that. I put some arrows in to kind of give you some ideas. And you finish putting in your stems. Then it says, add the bar lines and a double bar. Well, I'm looking. I'm in 3/4 time. Okay? Remember, when you show the grand staff, your bar lines go all the way through. They slice through the entire staff. Okay? So I'm going to start with my double bar at the end. And I'm making my thick bar and my thin one in front of it. That's kind of hard to see. Let's see if I can make it even better. Thick bar. And then my thin one in front. And I want you to remember it went from top to bottom across the entire staff. Now I'm in 3/4. What am I going to do? Well, they're going to have me write the beats below the grand staff. So good. Haha. I've already started that up here. I'm smart. I'm going to write in my beats. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So I'm putting it below my bass clef. 1, 2, 3. 1 is this rest. 2, 3. There he's getting a little harder now, isn't it? And then I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, and so on. Once I've done that, then I'm going to put my bar lines completely across the entire staff. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. I'm making a full staff of music. We use this all the time in choir because we have sopranos and altos, and then we have baritone singing. When we get into 7th and 8th grade choir, we're going to hear baritone, so we're going to need to know what that looks like. Good stuff, okay? After I've done that completely, because Miss G's only done half of it for you, then I'm going to write the names of the notes below the beats, okay? Which makes it a little tricky here, guys. How much room do I have? I'm going to have an F and an E and a C and a B. Remember, this is the bass clef notes. These are treble. You've got to be thinking in terms of treble and bass. If you don't remember your note names, go back. Where can I find all of my note names? Lesson 5. Everything on the entire bass clef and treble clef, and I can review and do my notes. Don't try and guess, guys, okay? Try and study that staff on 5, and then you'll start to see it when you get to the rest of number 11. All right, good luck. I know you can do it. On number 12, guys, it says dotted half notes. Now, we've already done half notes, and we know half notes usually get 2 beats when they're in 4/4 time, when they're in 3/4 time, and when they're in actually 2/4. So they're always getting 2 beats. That makes that pretty easy. When we add a dot, it says a dot after a note increases its duration. And don't forget, duration means the amount of time it's held. So it increases it by half the original value. So I want you to think of it this way. If a half note is already worth 2, what's half its value? It's already worth 2, and if I want half of 2, I'm going to take 1 away. How many beats is the dot going to get? Did you say 1? Yes, you did. If you didn't, say it again. 1. So we are, a half note gets 2. and the dot is worth half of that value. So the dot is now worth one more. So when I take the half note that has 2 and I add one more, I get 2 plus 1 is, not the pencil, don't count the pencil, 3. So we have 3 beats. Okay, when we're going to be, as I'm looking down the page, in 4/4 time, in 3/4 time, it's going to get 3 beats. Are we going to use it in 2/4 time? No. This time I can say that with lots of assurity. We're not going to use a dotted half note because we're not going to have a measure that has more than 2. And if we added a dot to it, it would get 3. We might have a dotted quarter note though. That comes later. All right, so right now we're on dotted half notes, 3 beats each. And it says in 3/4 and 4/4, a half note receives 2 beats. Because a dot following a half note increases its duration by 1 beat, a dotted half note has a value of 3. We just talked about that. It was already worth 2. The dot's worth half its value. That would be 1. 2 plus 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. Advanced math, right? Then it says, count and clap the rhythm, say and clap the rhythm. So it wants us to count half note, quarter note, dotted half, okay? And to go through that, guys, half notes, we know how to count. We know how to clap them. 1, 2, and quarter notes, 3. Now we've added the dot. So remember how we did our whole notes? 1, 2, 3, 4 in 4/4 time. Now we're only in 3. So we just do it for 3. 1, 2, 3. That's a dotted half note. So I'm looking at these measures right here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Whole 2, 3. So I would clap it like this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Whole 2, 3. All right? Easy peasy. Then they want me to try it in 4/4 time with a dotted half note as well. Still gets 3 beats in 4/4. Okay, so now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. How am I going to clap it? Quarter, quarter, half note, dot, 2, 3, 4. Quarter, dot, 3, 4. Half note, half note. It's always easier when Miss G's pointing, isn't it? But you know what? You're looking at your music and you're going to go back. You can always start the recording again and review that. Practice the clapping. It is so good for your mind. All right. Here we go with exercise number 1. It says, write one note equal in value to the sum of the notes or rests. So now we're just adding these up and coming up with an answer. So it says if we have a quarter note plus a half note, okay, quarter note gets 1, half note gets 2, 1 plus 2 is da. See if you write down what I write down. Okay, it's not rocket science, but it is kind of tricky because there's lots and lots of combinations. In music, there can be hundreds of thousands of combinations in one song. Not hundreds of thousands in one song. Hundreds of thousands in hundreds of thousands of songs. But there are lots of combinations. Let's look at letter B. We have our dotted half note and a quarter note. Remember, dotted half is getting, and then the quarter note's getting. So then we go plus plus and hopefully we're writing down the same thing. I didn't have enough fingers there. So you go through and you answer those questions. On the second one, it says write the number of beats remaining for each example. So now it's subtracting beats, right? So we had a dotted quarter note, which was 3, minus a half note, which is 2. 3 minus 2 is advanced math. Right? Easy peasy. You guys got this. Finish those up. On number 3, it says complete the measures using one note or rest and then count and clap it. So be careful because they're trying to trick you. They started with 1 and 4/4 and then they did 1 and 3/4. So the top line is all 4/4, the bottom line is 3/4. Lucky you, they've put in the beats for you already. So they want to know if you've got a dotted half note and it's only getting 1, 2, 3, you've got to add a rest because it's telling you above to add a rest. What kind of a rest are you going to add that gets one beat? A quarter rest, a half rest, or a whole rest? Well, a quarter beat gets 1, a half rest gets 2, and a whole note gets 4 in 4/4. So let's see if you put down the same one that I do. Is it as easy? And is it under beat 4 so that we know this is 1, 2, 3, 4? Because you want to show Miss G that you can line up the number of beats so that they match. Otherwise, if you're just writing a rest, let's say you put it right next to it, right here, that would be beat 2. That wouldn't be right because this is worth 1, 2, 3, and this is 4. So we'd have to make sure we line it up. How about the next one? It's showing us a half note. It gets 2, and so I'm going to add, it says to do a rest, and it has to be a rest that gets 2 beats. Did you put down a hat rest, better known as a half rest, better known as a rest that gets 2 beats, just like your half note? They are equal to each other, okay? So you're going to continue in 4/4, and then you're going to go to letter B. Watch out, it's in 3/4. So now they are going to give you a half note, which you know gets 1, 2, and then you need a rest on 3. Let's see if you put the same rest on 3. This time the beat comes on 3 because this is 1, 2, 3. Be careful that you're putting it in the right place. And the next one, they want a note. They've got a quarter rest, and you need a note that can do 2, 3. So what note would you put in that gets 2 beats? Beat 2 and 3 is 2 beats. So when I'm counting, it's 1, 2, 3. I've got a half note there because it's going to get 2 beats. Finish it up. In number 4, it says in the example, and don't forget, you can always stop this video. If I'm going too fast, just stop and then come back. In number 4, in the example below, draw the grand staff. Do you remember what you draw first? I hope you said bar lines, and I always do the last double bar first. Did you remember it goes completely across the entire staff when it is a grand staff? Grand means hooked together. At the beginning of my grand staff, do you remember that it wants me to have my bar and my brace? I have to have that, or Miss G won't know that they go together, okay? And then it says, add the note stems. I'm thinking on or below the 3rd line, stems go up on the right. I'm thinking above the 3rd line, on or above, stems go down on the left. So my first note, my stem's going to go up. Then I look at my next measure, and I see all of these notes in bass clef. This one's pretty high if you think about how high it is up the staff. Okay, so it's going to be down stem, and so is the next one. I'm going to leave the rest of them blank. You can do it. Then it says, add your bar lines, double bar, we've already put the double bar in, and then write the names of the notes on the grand staff. Do you know what's missing? Something's missing right here. If we're making a grand staff, something is missing. Did you figure it out? I pointed to the treble clef and the bass clef. They're missing. I got to put those in there. I didn't finish drawing my staff because you've got to be giving directions to the person who is singing or playing an instrument. We've been working on treble clef and bass clef. Did you remember to curl your treble clef around the G line? And did you remember to start your bass clef on the 4th line with the dot? Bring it around, and then both of these dots are on either side of that 4th line. Then I can put in my stems, and now I can think, it's in 4/4 time. Where are my bar lines going to go? Well, I'm going to write my counting in. Okay, I am. And it says I'm going to write the names of the notes below the grand staff, so I'm going to put my counting in above those. I'm going to go, dotted half note, 1, 2, 3, and then I go 1, 2, 3, 4. This is kind of squishy. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Tricky, tricky stuff. I need a pencil sharpener right now, I'll tell you that. 2, 3. Okay, so guys, I want you to notice, when I wrote that in, I wrote beat 1, 2, 3, and there's beat 4. I'm sorry, I'll show you again. 1, 2, 3, because it's a dotted half, and there's beat 4. Bar line. Okay? And I'm going to go through and I'm going to put all of my counting underneath, because it's going to open up my eyes to see where the bar lines go. So I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, bar line. And did you notice my bar lines go all the way across the page? Last thing, once I'm done with that, I'm putting in my letter names of my notes. Watch out, some of them are in treble clef. The one up here is a G. It's in treble clef. I'm putting it there. And then it says, what note is this? Bass clef, all cows eat grass. Hey, it's also a G. I got 2 G's in a row. One of them is high G and one of them is low G. Okay, if I'm a singer, my high G would sound like this. And if I get into 7th and 8th grade and I have baritone singing, it's an octave below that. So here's my soprano alto. That's what we're doing this year. Here's next year. Some of our voices are going to be down here, and most of those are going to be some of the boys in the class. So that's the 2 pitches that you're seeing right there. Okay? That's a tricky little line there to sing for Miss G, because I'm not a boy. All right. I'm going through, I'm putting my stems in the right direction. I'm thinking about my beats, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm putting my bar lines in madly, 1, 2. And, there's a whole note and a whole rest. Tried to trick me there. And 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to go up just because I think that looks cool. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's my last one. And I'm adding my stems. I'm putting in my bar lines. And my very last thing is to go back and write in all my pitches, which you're going to do. You don't get to look at that for very long. Okay? Boys and girls, I hope you find time to do your work, and I hope my walking you through this helps you do your work, okay? Please tell your friends that I am working right online with you, and I think it will really help all of you to succeed. Take pictures of your work, upload them onto Google Classroom. I will check them. I will give you credit for doing the work, which is awesome, right? And so nice job. Don't forget to practice singing, all right? Because you've got practice clapping to do, but what about the singing? Don't forget to sing. You've got songs that I've uploaded onto Google Classroom or on my website, and you can sing along, okay? Lilo and Stitch would be a great one to learn, top to bottom, because that song, because we only did the last one this year on our Hawaiian roller coaster ride, I think it'd be a good one to start the year with, okay? So, see if we can get all of that done. And by the way, sixth graders, you should be registering for classes next year at the high school level, which is, junior high for you. And you can do that by going to not my website, the school website, and finding the link to register for classes. If you haven't done that already, you should find some time to do that, because you want to make sure and get it enrolled in choir so that next year you're ready to sing some more. I miss you guys. I hope you're safe. I hope you're well. I hope your families are safe and well. Sorry, I had a fly going by. And I just really, truly can't wait to see you guys, and I miss you. Okay. Have a great rest of your weekend.